Hare Krishna. So we'll continue our reading from Caitanya Caritamrta, Untitled Chapter number 6, titled Lord Chaitanya Meets Ragnar Das Goswami. We're on text number 287. So unfortunately, Ghanshyam Prabhu has been a bit busy over the last few classes, so he hasn't been able to come, but he should be back next week. Shri Radha Gopinath ki jai. Okay, text number 287. After saying this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again bestowed his mercy upon Ragnar Das by giving him a stone from Govardhan hill and a garland of small conch shells. Previously, when Sakarananda Saraswati had returned from Vrindavan, he had brought the stone from Govardhan hill and also a garland of conch shells. He presented Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with these two items, the garland of conch shells and the stone from Govardhan hill. Upon receiving these two uncommon items, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was extremely happy. While chanting, he would put the garland around his neck. The Lord would put the stone to his heart and sometimes to his eyes. Sometimes he would smell it with his nose and sometimes place it on his head. The stone from Govardhan was always moist with tears from his eyes. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would say, "This stone is directly the body of Lord Krishna." So yesterday we were seeing the display of renunciation by Ragnar Das Goswami, how strict he was in following the principles of renounced life. And Mahaprabhu, observing Ragnar Das Goswami's renunciation, he was very pleased with him. And out of gratitude for his service, Mahaprabhu, he offers him some personal gifts. So it's given that Mahaprabhu previously, he had been gifted with two items, one a Govardhan Shila, directly from Govardhan hill, and also a small garland of conch shells by another devotee 3 years ago. It's given. And Mahaprabhu, he used to wear this small garland of conch shells around his neck, and the Govardhan Shila, Mahaprabhu, he used to personally worship that Govardhan Shila. And it's given that sometimes Mahaprabhu, because Govardhan Shila is said to be non-different from Krishna. And Mahaprabhu used to personally worship it, and sometimes Mahaprabhu, it's given, he used to, out of ecstasy, hold the Govardhan Shila to his chest or to his heart, or hold it towards his head. And sometimes, out of ecstasy, Mahaprabhu used to bathe the Govardhan Shila with tears of ecstasy coming out of his eyes. So these two very close possessions of Mahaprabhu personally gifted to Ragnar Das Goswami as gifts, being very pleased with Ragnar Das's sincere service. The stone from Govardhan was always moist with tears from his eyes. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would say, "This stone is directly the body of Lord Krishna." For 3 years he kept the stone in garland. Then, greatly satisfied by the behavior of Ragnar Das, the Lord delivered both of them to him. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed Ragnar Das, "This stone is the transcendental form of Lord Krishna. Worship the stone with great eagerness." So previously we were talking about how in 5th canto the story of Maharaj Gaya, how Bhagavatam explains, he exemplifies an ideal leader or a king because he was doing 5 things. Number 1 is Palana, he made sure everyone in his kingdom was protected. Number 2, Poshana, he made sure everyone had enough food to eat, basic material necessities. Number 3 is Prinana. He spoke sweet words, he encouraged all of his citizens, and he also gave gifts in charity. And number 4 was Upalalana, which is to see and treat everyone under you as if they were your own children. With that much love, care, and attention, one should take care of one's dependents. And number 5 was Anusasana, which means to instruct those under us with spiritual instructions, and if they're doing something wrong, it is also our duty to correct them for their benefit. So here we're seeing Mahaprabhu, he is doing the 3rd one, Prinana. He is giving gifts in charity to Raghunath Das Goswami to encourage him in his devotional service. So previously Mahaprabhu had instructed Raghunath Das Goswami. Remember the 8 instructions Mahaprabhu gave? bhala na khaibe, don't eat very opulently, bhala na paribe, don't dress too opulently, gramya katha na sunibe, don't hear mundane talks, don't speak mundane talks, give all respect to others, don't expect any respect for yourself. Always chant the holy name of the Lord constantly, and in your mind worship Shri Shri Radha Krishna in Vrindavan. So Ragnar Das, he was very strictly following all of these instructions given by Mahaprabhu. And when Mahaprabhu, he sees this, naturally, he feels very much obliged to Ragnar Das, because he is carrying out his instructions so sincerely and strictly. So then Mahaprabhu, he offers gifts in charity to Ragnar Das, and it's no ordinary gift. The very personal deity of Mahaprabhu that he was worshipping, the very personal Govardhan Shila, Mahaprabhu used to personally worship every day. Mahaprabhu gives that as a gift in charity. So in this way, Mahaprabhu is further encouraging Raghunath Das in his devotional service. And now Mahaprabhu is explaining that this stone is non-different from Krishna. It is Krishna himself, and worship this stone with great eagerness. So this quality of eagerness is very important. Srila Rupa Goswami in Nectar of Instruction, he gives this as one of there's 6 qualities he gives which are favorable for bhakti or devotional service. And the first quality he mentions is utsahan, which means enthusiasm. Utsahan nischayadhara, the famous verse. Enthusiasm, patience, determination. Like this, he lists 6 qualities, but the very first one he gives is enthusiasm. Without enthusiasm, nothing will start. The engine won't start, the car won't start, it will just be stationary. So to do any kind of devotional service, to do any form of service, firstly we have to be enthusiastic about doing it. Then next comes patience and determination. Okay, initially we're enthusiastic, we get into the service, but then as we start doing the service, we'll notice there's many challenges in the service. For example, initially we'll see other devotees distributing books, hear this course, then we'll also, naturally want to also go out and distribute books or preach. So the enthusiasm is there, then we go out, but once we go out on the streets, then we realize actually it's very difficult. So many rejections we have to face, the weather, dogs, so many austerities are there in the service. So that's why patience is needed next. And along with patience, determination is also needed. Because as we do the particular service, there will be many challenges, many austerities that come along the way. And to continue on doing that service, we have to be very patient and we have to be very determined. In any sort of service we take, there will always be some sort of austerity. It can be cooking, deity worship, cleaning, anything. Initially we'll be enthusiastic, but as we're doing the service, something will go wrong. There will be some obstacle, some challenge. Some form of austerity will be there in any service we take up. It could be mental austerity, it could be physical austerity also. So to go through that and continue on that service day in, day out, no matter what, to consistently do, service day in and day out, we need to have patience and determination. But initially, when we pick up any service, this quality of enthusiasm is very important. And Mahaprabhu is instructing Raghunath Das Goswami that with great eagerness and enthusiasm, you worship this Govardhan Shila which I am giving you. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, worship this stone in the mode of goodness, like a perfect Brahmana. For by such worship, you will surely attain ecstatic love of Krishna without delay. So now Mahaprabhu is explaining what will be the result if you worship this Govardhan Shila with great love, attention and eagerness. If you follow my instructions and worship this Govardhan Shila, then the end result will be you will attain ecstatic love for Krishna. You will attain Krishna Prema. So it's given in Caitanya Caritamrta. Like if you remember Rupa Goswami's Nectar of Devotion, there's one chapter which talks about 64 items of devotional service. So these 64 different items of devotional service were given by Mahaprabhu to Rupa Goswami in Mahaprabhu's discussion with him. And then after Mahaprabhu's disappearance, Rupa Goswami, he writes all of this down in his book, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Now, in these 64 items of devotional service, it's given that there is 5 which is the topmost, or 5 which is the most potent. And deity worship is one of these 5. So it goes Sadhu Sangha Nama Kirtana, Bhagavata Shravana, Sadhu Sangha Nama Kirtana, Bhagavata Shravana, Mathura Vasa Shri Mutura Shadaya Sevana. So first is Sadhu Sangha, associating with devotees. Second, Sadhu Sangha Nama Kirtana, chanting the holy name of the Lord. Bhagavata Shravana, reading and hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, that's number 3. Number 4 is residing in a holy place of pilgrimage, like Mathura or Vrindavan. And the 5th most powerful form of devotional service is given as worshipping the deity of the Lord. So these are the 5 most potent forms of devotional service. As explained by Caitanya Mahaprabhu and Rupa Goswami, he writes this down in his book also, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Then in the next verse it's explained that these 5 are the most potent, and if one does any one of these 5, he doesn't have to do all 5 of them, he can just pick any one of these 5. And if one and he doesn't have to attain perfection in that also. You can pick any one of these 5 forms of devotional service and just make a little endeavor to sincerely do that form of devotional service. And Mahaprabhu explains, just by a little endeavor in any one of these 5 forms of devotional service, one can very easily attain Krishna Prema. So one can, for example, take shelter of deity worship. And Mahaprabhu is saying, you don't have to attain perfection in deity worship, you just put your heart into deity worship, just sincerely try your best to do that service. And just by a little endeavor in deity worship, you can attain Krishna Prema very quickly. Or you can take shelter of Sadhu Sangha. You spend a little endeavor to associate with devotees, take the Sangha, serve the Vaishnavas, and by that you can very easily attain Krishna Prema also. So any one of these 5, associating with devotees, chanting the holy name of the Lord, reading, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. Number 4, residing in a place of pilgrimage. And number 5 is deity worship, worshipping the deity with great faith and sincerity. So same thing Mahaprabhu is saying here, that this Govardhan Sila I'm giving you, you worship it as a perfect Brahmana in mode of goodness, and if you do so, very quickly you will attain Krishna Prema. Text 296. For such worship, one needs a jug of water and a few flowers from a tulsi tree. This is worship in complete goodness, when performed in complete purity. With faith and love, you should offer 8 soft tulsi flowers, each with 2 tulsi leaves, 1 on each side of each flower. So now Mahaprabhu is giving further details in how Ragnar Das Goswami should worship this Govardhan Shila, which Mahaprabhu was personally worshipping for 3 full years. And the descriptions given of the worship is actually not so elaborate. It's very simple. Mahaprabhu is saying, for worship of Govardhan Shila, all you need is a jug of water and a few flowers from the tulsi tree. And how many exactly? Mahaprabhu is saying, you get 8 soft tulsi flowers or manjaris. And these 8 soft tulsi manjaris should have 2 tulsi leaves, 1 on each side of the flower. So you take 1 tulsi flower, 1 leaf on one side, another leaf on the other side. Like this, you offer Govardhan or Krishna 8 soft tulsi flowers like this, along with some water. In, I think a few weeks ago we were discussing about the glories of Tulsi Marni. For example, if you remember earlier on in CC, in Adi Lila, there's the story of Advaita Acharya, how by his prayers and by his service and his calling, Mahaprabhu, he descended into this world. It's given that there is 2 personalities by whose prayers Mahaprabhu descended. One is Haridas Thakur. So before Mahaprabhu appeared, Haridas Thakur was very intensely praying and chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, asking for the Lord to descend down. The second personality responsible for Mahaprabhu's appearance is Advaita Acharya. At that time, Advaita Acharya, who is none other than Mahavishnu himself, he was seeing the pitiable condition of Navadvip. How although all these residents of Navadvip, they're born in nice, pious, families, still instead of taking shelter of the process of bhakti, instead of performing pure devotional service, they're getting sidetracked by karmakanda sacrifices. And people were becoming so materialistic back then, it's given, that they were even marrying their pets. So people used to have goats and buffaloes, and first they would, with great pomp, they would marry their children, and once the children were married, to show off their opulence and wealth, they would start marrying their pets and hold marriage ceremonies just for their goats or lambs or whatever pets they had at that time. So instead of, although they were born in pious families with the Shastras, everything available to them, they were getting sidetracked by the Vedic rituals, and everyone was neglecting the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. So when Advaita Acharya, he was seeing this right in front of his eyes in Navadvip, he was feeling great compassion for all the fallen conditioned souls. And out of humility, Advaita Acharya, he was thinking that actually the only way these people can be saved is if Krishna himself, if he himself descends, that is the only way these people can be saved. Now, who is Advaita Acharya? He's none other than Mahavishnu. So he himself personally could have delivered all those persons. He is none other than Mahavishnu. But out of humility, Advaita Acharya, he was thinking that the only person who can solve this is Krishna himself. Out of humility, he was thinking that actually I'm not capable to do this. Krishna, only if he comes, he can solve this great mess which is happening at the moment. So then Advaita Acharya, he thinks, okay, so Krishna, only if Krishna comes, can all the fallen conditioned souls will be delivered. Now the next question is, what should I do to bring the Supreme Lord to the material world? I need to do some sort of service to attract his attention. Then only the Supreme Lord will come. So then Advaita Acharya, in his mind, he starts thinking, what should I do? What should I do? What form of powerful devotional service I should do by which I can grab Krishna's attention and force Krishna to come all the way from the spiritual world to the material world, right here, right now. So Advaita Acharya, he's closing his eyes and he's thinking. And as he's thinking what he should do to attract the Supreme Lord, one verse from the Shastras comes into his mind. What is this verse? This verse explains the glories of Tulsi Marni. This verse explains that when a devotee of the Lord just takes a palm full of water in his hand along with one tulsi leaf and offers that at the lotus feet of the Lord, then Krishna, he feels so obliged by the service of this devotee that Krishna, he gives his very self in charity to that devotee. Krishna feels from his side that this devotee has done such great service to me by offering me a tulsi leaf with some little water, and Krishna feels, I have so many things in my possession, but I can't give him anything which can match the value of one tulsi leaf offered with love and devotion and some water. So because Krishna is feeling so indebted and he is feeling so much gratitude, and Krishna is feeling that I don't have anything in my possession to repay this gift, so Krishna, in the end, he is forced to give his very self to that particular devotee. So like this, Advaita Acharya, he remembers one verse, glorifying the power of Tulsi Marni, glorifying how much dear Tulsi Marni is to the Supreme Lord. That if a devotee offers a tulsi leaf to the Supreme Lord with some water with love and devotion, then Krishna, he gives his very self to that devotee. Then when Advaita Acharya, he remembers this verse, then he immediately understands, okay, this is the way I'm going to attract the Supreme Lord. Tulsi Marni, she is the most dearest to Krishna. If I want to attract the Supreme Lord to come to this material world, I have to worship him with tulsi leaves. Now Advaita Acharya, he has the solution, then immediately he also has Shaligram Shila. Advaita Acharya, he goes to the bank of the Ganga, takes Ganges water and starts every day offering Ganges water along with tulsi leaves at the lotus feet of his Shaligram Shila. Like this, he worships day in and day out, offering prayers at the lotus feet of his Shaligram Shila along with tulsi leaves and Ganges water. So because of these loud prayers of Advaita Acharya, and because of Advaita Acharya offering tulsi leaves at the lotus feet of his Shaligram Shila, it's given in CC, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, or Krishna himself, appears as Sri Krishna Chaitanya in this Kali Yuga. So this is the importance of Tulsi Marni. It is only because of the tulsi leaves offered by Advaita Acharya that Mahaprabhu has personally appeared in Kali Yuga, only 500 years ago. not too long ago. So we're very fortunate. So now same thing Mahaprabhu is saying to Raghunath Das Goswami, that to worship this Govardhan Shila, all you have to do is have a jug full of water next to you and some tulsi flowers or tulsi manjaris, and you offer this to Govardhan Shila and he'll be satisfied. There are, in Nectar of Devotion, Prabhupada, he quotes some verses from the Puranas explaining the potency of Tulsi Marni. And these verses explain that, I think, 8 different ways by which one can come in contact with Tulsi Marni and get completely purified of all sins. It's given that number 1 is, if anyone sees Tulsi Marni, just with your eyes, if you just take darshan of Tulsi Marni from a distance, just by that one act of devotional service of taking darshan of Tulsi Marni, one can immediately get freed of countless sins from many, many lifetimes. Another is given is if one touches Tulsi Marni. Then again, same effect is given. One is freed from countless sins. Another is given if one waters Tulsi Marni. Same effect is given. One is freed from many sins from many lifetimes. Another one is if one sings the glories of Tulsi Marni, chants in front of her, sings and dance, again, same benefit is given. If one sows a tulsi leaf, tulsi seed, and grows a tulsi plant, again, same benefit is given. Like this, there's many different benefits given for worshipping Tulsi Marni. So this is the power of Tulsi Devi. We can just stand at a distance and just take darshan of her. Immediately we get so much spiritual benefit. Another is given if you circumambulate Srimati Tulsi Devi. Again, as we circumambulate Tulsi Devi, we're freed of many sins from many, many lifetimes. That's why in the morning we do Tulsi Puja every day. Prabhupada, he established this as part of our morning program. Straight after Mangalarti, the very first thing we do in the morning is offer prayers at the lotus feet of our spiritual master. So it is only by the mercy of Guru we're getting everything. So the very first thing we do as soon as we wake up is we sing Guru Vastakam, prayers at the lotus feet of the spiritual master. And straight after that we worship Tulsi Marni. Prabhupada established. So during Tulsi Aarti, we're seeing Tulsi Marni, we get the benefit of seeing her, and we also get the benefit of circumambulating around her. We also get the benefit of glorifying her by singing sweet bhajan, singing and dancing in front of her. And we also water Tulsi Marni. We also get the benefit of that. And also generally, after we pour water at the lotus feet of Tulsi Marni, also you'll see devotees, they'll very gently touch a Tulsi leaf without disturbing her. Very gently they'll touch a Tulsi leaf. So then we get the benefit of touching Tulsi Marni also. So like this, in so many different ways, one can serve Tulsi Marni and get great spiritual advancement. With faith and love, you should offer 8 soft Tulsi flowers, each with 2 Tulsi leaves, 1 on each side of each flower. After thus advising him how to worship, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally offered Raghunath Das the Govardhan Shila with his transcendental hand, as advised by the Lord. Raghunath Das worshipped the Shila in great transcendental jubilation. Swarup Damodar gave Raghunath Das 2 cloths, each about 6 inches long, a wooden platform, and a jug in which to keep water. If we want to get an idea how is it we're supposed to worship Govardhan Shila or Shalagram Shila, there's some nice videos on YouTube by Indradumna Maharaj. Indradumna Maharaj, he has his own, I think Shaligram Shila, which he worships every day. And there's some nice recordings on YouTube of his disciples taking videos of how Maharaj worships his Shila every day. It's a very nice, high quality video, and it will give us a nice idea of how it happens. Text 300. Thus Raghunath Das began worshipping the stone from Govardhan, and as he worshipped, he saw the Supreme Personality Godhead Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj, directly in the stone. Thinking of how he had received the Govardhan Shila directly from the hands of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Raghunath Das was always overflooded with ecstatic love. The amount of transcendental bliss that Raghunath Das enjoyed simply by offering water and tulsi is impossible to achieve, even if one worships the deity with 16 kinds of paraphernalia. After Raghunath Das had thus worshipped the Govardhan Shila for some time, Swarup Damodar one day spoke to him as follows: "Offer the Govardhan stone 8 kodis worth of the first-class sweetmeats known as khaja and sandesh. If you offer them with faith and love, they will be just like nectar." Raghunath Das then began offering the costly sweetmeats known as khaja, which Govinda, following the order of Swarup Damodar, would supply. When Raghunath Das received from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu the stone and the garland of conch shells, he could understand the Lord's intention. Thus he thought as follows: "By offering me the Govardhan Shila, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has offered me a place near Govardhan Hill, and by offering me the garland of conch shells, he has offered me shelter at the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani." Raghunath Das's transcendental bliss was boundless. Forgetting everything external, he served the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with his body and mind. Who could list the unlimited transcendental attributes of Raghunath Das? His strict regulated principles were exactly like lines on a stone. In the purport, Prabhupada says the word pasanera rekha are very significant. Raghunath Das Goswami followed the regulative principles so strictly and rigidly that they were compared to the lines on a stone. As such lines cannot be erased at any time, so the regulative principles observed by Sri Raghunath Das Goswami could not be changed under any circumstances. So now Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is explaining that actually Raghunath Das Goswami, he was like a whole unlimited ocean full of wonderful divine spiritual qualities, transcendental qualities. But if one had to point out one specific quality that made Raghunath Das Goswami stand out, that was his strictness in following all the regulated principles. And one analogy Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is giving, that his strict regulated principles were exactly like lines on a stone. So if you engrave a line on a stone, no matter how hard you try, you can never erase the line from that stone. So that is how Raghunath Das Goswami's regulated principles were. Which means, let's say he had a schedule of waking up at 2 in the morning. So it means his regular principle were like lines on a stone, means every day, no matter what happened, he would wake up 2 o'clock in the morning. Not a single day he would miss. And also it's given in CC that, I'm not sure if we read the verse already or will come later on, it's given that Raghunath Das Goswami, he used to sleep only for an hour or hour and a half most days. And some days he would forget to sleep. So out of 24 hours, 22 hours or more, he will be engaged in full-time devotional service, in chanting Hare Krishna, writing books, preaching about Mahaprabhu, as we were discussing earlier on. That Raghunath Das Goswami, he had personally witnessed all the pastimes of Mahaprabhu that took place in Jagannath Puri. And he got the personal diary of Swarup Damodar Goswami, who was the personal secretary of Mahaprabhu. So Raghunath Das Goswami, he had already memorized whatever pastimes Mahaprabhu had performed in Jagannath Puri. Now all the devotees in Vrindavan, they missed out on most of these pastimes in Jagannath Puri. So all of them, they were begging Raghunath Das Goswami after Mahaprabhu's disappearance, that you please come and tell us, share with us all of these wonderful pastimes Mahaprabhu performed in Jagannath Puri. Because all these pastimes we didn't get to witness by our own eyes. But you were there, personally present, and you also read the notes of Swarup Damodar, so you know in detail about all these pastimes. You please share this with us. So every day it's given in Radhakund, Raghunath Das Goswami, he used to give Gaur Leela class. For many hours, he just used to narrate pastime after pastime of Mahaprabhu. And during that, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he was present, and he memorized that. And whatever he memorized, he is writing here in Caitanya Caritamrta. So part of his daily schedule, in the 22 hours in which he would be engaged in devotional service, he used to chant a fixed number of rounds, a very big number of rounds, like Haridas Thakur. Along with that, for a few hours, he would preach Gaur Katha. Along with that, it's given every day he had a fixed number of obeisances he used to pay to different Vaishnavas, something like 1,000 or more. So every day he would find, I think this is a number, 1,000 different Vaishnavas. It will maybe come later on in this chapter or in the next chapter. So every day he would find 1,000 different Vaishnavas and offer dandavats to them. That was also one of the regulated principles Ragnar Das Goswami was following. Now all of these different things he's following, like giving class about Mahaprabhu's pastimes, chanting a huge number of rounds, offering a fixed amount of obeisances onto Vaishnavas. All of these regulated principles he was practicing were just like lines on a stone, which means no matter what happened, he would always do this. No matter what happened, he would finish his fixed number of rounds. No matter what happened, he would complete his prescribed number of dandavats he used to pay to Vaishnavas. No matter what happened, he used to do his recitation of Mahaprabhu's pastimes. Whatever regulated principles he had fixed, he would always do, no matter what happened. So from this we can also take inspiration. Obviously we can't imitate him and sleep for only 1 hour or 1.5 hours. We can't offer obeisance to 1,000 Vaishnavas, then our whole day will be gone. And you can imagine back then, like now in Vrindavan, there's thousands and thousands of people everywhere. But back then, 500 years ago, Vrindavan wasn't so populated. So to go out and find 1,000 Vaishnavas would have taken a long time. It's not that he would just stand in one spot and immediately there'll be 1,000 Vaishnavas all around. So back then, Vrindavan was only being discovered. There weren't any temples. Radhakund was only discovered during Mahaprabhu's time. Shamakund, Radhakund, Mahaprabhu himself discovered and showed the Goswamis that this place is Radhakund. You please, excavate it and make nice facility here. Like this, Mahaprabhu pointed out many different pastimes of Krishna that were lost. And Mahaprabhu gave the Goswamis the service to excavate all of these pastimes of Krishna and Vrindavan. And Mahaprabhu also instructed the Goswamis to build temples, establish deity worship in Vrindavan. So all these things only happened during the Goswami's time. So back then, there weren't so many devotees in that area. So to go out and find 1,000 Vaishnavas to offer dandavats would have again taken a long time, a lot of austerity. But no matter what happened, Raghunath Das used to always do this. So in the same way, we can take a little inspiration and we can also follow in his footsteps. We can try and also be a bit strict, in our daily schedule. And we can have more realistic aims for us. Okay, every day I will try to sleep by 9 or 9:30. I will try to wake up by 4 or 4:30. Okay, every day I will chant my 16 rounds. Every day I will aim to read, half an hour of Bhagavatam or 1 hour of Bhagavatam. So we can make some goals. Just like Raghunath Das Goswami, he has certain goals. And no matter what, he's sticking to it. Same way, we should organize our lives, our days, and have some goals for us. Okay, I'll try and sleep by this time. I will try and wake up at this time. I will try and finish my rounds, before going out, or I'll try and finish half my rounds before going out. We all have to start somewhere, so we can start with something small or practical for us, and slowly increase and do better and better. So initially, sleeping by 9 may be difficult. Okay, then try to sleep by 10. Initially, waking up by 4 might be difficult. Then try and wake up by 5 or 6. So we have to start somewhere. We start with something practical for us, and slowly, we take small steps to improve ourselves. Initially, maybe chanting 16 rounds is difficult, so we chant with 4 rounds. We increase to 8, 12, 16. So like this, we take small steps, and we increase, and we try and do our service better and better for Krishna. Just like we're seeing with Raghunath Das Goswami. Initially, he was begging in front of the temple gate. Then he was thinking, actually, this is not good. Then he stops doing that. Then he goes to the charity booth and gets a free meal of prasad. Then he's thinking that this is not good enough also. I need to do more austerity. Then what he does, we will read later on this chapter, the food, the Mahaprasad, which has of Lord Jagannath, which the shopkeepers couldn't sell for a few days, they would go off and they would start rotting and they would start decomposing. So then when the Mahaprasad starts decomposing, it's not fit to be sold to humans. So then the shopkeepers, they will throw that rotten prasad to the cows and the animals to eat. Now when the animals, like the cows, they would come, some of the prasad would be giving up such bad odor that even the cows would reject that Mahaprasad. Now that prasad, which even the cows, animals would reject because of it decomposing, Raghunath Das used to go, take that prasad, take that rice, wash it with water, remove the outer portion of that rice, and take the hard inner portion, which hasn't become rotten, just put a little salt and used to take that as his prasad every day. So that is the extent of which Raghunath Das's austerity went. So like this we see with the life of Raghunath Das Goswami. Initially he started with something, then he went more austere, more austere, more austere. Like that he was constantly trying to improve his devotional service. Same thing we see with Dhruva Maharaj. Initially, if you look at the austerities of Dhruva Maharaj, initially he was eating fruits and roots, then he stops eating fruits and roots, then he just subsists on leaves, then he just subsists on water, then he even stops drinking water, then he just subsists on breathing the air, and then he even stops breathing. So like this we see with Dhruva Maharaj's austerities, it's getting higher and higher and higher. He's trying to improve his service more and more and more. So obviously we can't imitate them, but whatever service we're doing, we can always plan to improve it. So we should all have a certain schedule, certain plan in how we're going to be Krishna conscious during the day. Okay, I'm going to try and wake up. Okay, 4 o'clock is too early for me. Find it difficult. Okay, I'll try at least for 6 a.m. Every day I'll try and wake up by 6. I'll try and sleep by 10. I will try and chant. Okay, chanting all my rounds before work is not possible. I'll try and chant at least half my rounds. And then we stick to that schedule for a few months. Then when we're ready, we can try and improve that. Okay, let me chant more rounds before going to work. Let me wake up a little more earlier. Instead of 6, let me try 5. Like this, slowly over the years, we can improve our service, in a very systematic way. And we can take inspiration from the example of Raghunath Das Goswami, who is said to be the personification of renunciation. And his austerities, his following of all the regulated principles of bhakti were so strict, it was just like lines engraved in stone. No matter what happened, Raghunath Das Goswami would follow his regulated principles day in and day out. This is why Mahaprabhu was so pleased with him that he gave his own personal Govardhan Shila to Raghunath Das Goswami. Text number 310. Raghunath Das spent more than 22 hours out of every 24 hours chanting the Hare Krishna mantra and remembering the lotus feet of the Lord. He ate and slept for less than an hour and a half. And on some days, that also was impossible. So most days he ate and slept for less than 1.5 hours, and some days even that wasn't possible. Some days he just didn't even eat and sleep. Just 24 hours he was engaged in chanting Hare Krishna, glorifying the Supreme Lord. Topics concerning his renunciation are wonderful. Throughout his life, he never allowed his tongue sense gratification. Oh, what a statement to describe a devotee. Throughout his life, he never allowed his tongue sense gratification. So his whole life, he was just living a life full of austerity. So there is, Prabhupada, I think, will explain this later on, about how Mahaprabhu gave different instructions to different devotees. For example, to Nityananda Prabhu, Mahaprabhu ordered that you please don't come to Jagannath Puri every year, because it was the custom back then. Every year, all the Bengali devotees used to come to Jagannath Puri during Ratha Yatra. They will attend Snana Yatra, they will attend the cleansing of the Gundicha temple. Soon also we're having Snan Yatra in a few weeks' time. So they will attend the Ratha Yatra. Like this, they will stay 4 full months in Jagannath Puri, then they would return back to Bengal. So Nityananda Prabhu naturally used to also come every year to visit Mahaprabhu. But one year, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he instructed Nityananda Prabhu that you please stop coming to Jagannath Puri every year. Instead, you stay in Bengal and you travel all over Bengal and you preach in Bengal. You go on traveling Sankirtan in Bengal, and I want you to convert all the fallen rascals in Bengal into Vaishnavas. And Mahaprabhu tells Nityananda Prabhu that as far as myself is concerned, I have only preached to and made into devotees more high-class scholarly people like Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Prakasananda Saraswati, like this, all these great scholarly, big people in society, I've been able to convert into Vaishnavas. But these low-class mechas and yavanas, I haven't been able to convert them. And this is something that only you, my dear Nityananda can do. This is something which I can't do myself, only you can do, so you please go to Bengal and you deliver all the fallen souls and rascals in Bengal. So this is one specific instruction Mahaprabhu gives to Nityananda Prabhu. Then Prabhupada explains, Mahaprabhu he gives another instruction to Tapan Mishra. To Tapan Mishra, Mahaprabhu says, Tapan Mishra was saying that I want to travel with you. But Mahaprabhu said, no, you don't travel with me. Instead, you stay here in Varanasi. I have service for you here. And he instructs like this to Tapan Mishra. To the Goswamis, what does Mahaprabhu instruct? To Rupa and Sanatana Goswami, Mahaprabhu instructs, you go to Vrindavan. And in Vrindavan, you write books. So Mahaprabhu personally instructed Rupa Goswami in the science of devotional service, and he instructed Sanatana Goswami also in the science of devotional service. And Mahaprabhu instructed Rupa and Sanatana Goswami that whatever instructions I have given you, you now record it in the form of books, which later on will be published and distributed. So that's why Rupa Goswami, you see, he wrote so many different books, like Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Same with Srila Sanatana Goswami. He has written Bhava Vibhushana Prabhu, along with many other books. And the third instruction he gave them, first instruction was, discover all the holy places of pilgrimage in Vrindavan, which had all been lost due to the influence of time. Secondly, write books about bhakti. And third was to establish temples and the worship of deities in Vrindavan. So again, different specific instructions Mahaprabhu gives to the Goswamis. Like this, to different devotees, Mahaprabhu used to give different instructions. And to Ragnar Das Goswami, Mahaprabhu had given instruction to follow all the regulated principles of the renounced order of life very strictly. If you remember the 8 instructions Mahaprabhu gave, renunciate, he shouldn't bhalana kaibe, he shouldn't eat too opulently, he shouldn't dress too opulently, he should give all respects to others, he shouldn't hear prajalpa, so on and so forth. Just once Mahaprabhu told him all these instructions, in Raghunath Das Goswami, he took it to heart and he followed it so strictly. When Mahaprabhu said, don't eat too opulently, Raghunath Das Goswami, he went to such an extent, he used to eat the decomposed Mahaprasad of Lord Jagannath, which even the animals would reject. When Mahaprabhu said, don't dress too opulently, Raghunath Das Goswami, he went to such an extent, he just used to cover himself just with one loincloth. That was it. And he just used to, some days he would completely fast, not even eat anything. Other days, he would take little prasad. So very strictly, he followed the instructions of Mahaprabhu. So to him, Mahaprabhu had given the specific instruction to follow all the principles of the renounced order very strictly. So that's why we're seeing in this chapter, why Raghunath Das Goswami, he's acting so renounced. But to other devotees, Mahaprabhu gave other instructions, and they carried that out. For Nityananda Prabhu, he said, preach in Bengal. That's what Nityananda Prabhu does. He goes door to door in Bengal, and he falls at the feet. For some persons, he tells them, Prabhupada explains, he would go door to door, and he would preach to people that, you please chant Hare Krishna, your life will be perfect. Some persons, they will listen to him, they will chant Hare Krishna merely. Others, they would be very arrogant or adamant, and they'll say, no, why we should chant? We're not going to chant. And Nityananda Prabhu, he wouldn't take no for an answer. Prabhupada explains, Nityananda Prabhu, he used to roll in their house in front of their doorsteps and throw a big tantrum until they will be forced to surrender unto him and they will be forced to chant Hare Krishna. So Nityananda Prabhu, he very strictly follows the instruction which was given to him by Mahaprabhu. Same with the Goswamis. They discover all the holy places of pilgrimage, they write so many books, and they establish so many beautiful temples, the 7 principal temples in Vrindavan, which we see now. So in the same way, our spiritual masters will give different instructions to all of us. It's not that the same instruction will be given to all the disciples. The guru or the spiritual master will see the nature, the capability of different disciples, and what he thinks a particular disciple can handle, what he thinks is good for his nature. The spiritual master will give a service or instruction in relation to that. So different devotees, different disciples, they will get different instructions. So we shouldn't think, why he got that instruction, why I'm getting this instruction. Rather, we should, whatever instruction we get, whatever order we get, we just very gratefully, in a humble mood, accept that as the mercy of the spiritual master. Take that as the life and soul, like we sing in Guru Puja, Shri Guru Mukha Padme Vakya, Chittite Koriya Aikya. that the words coming out from the lotus mouth of my spiritual master are like my life and soul. I take it into my heart. That's what we're seeing Raghunath Das Goswami doing in this chapter. That's what we're seeing Rupa Sanatan Goswami doing, Nityananda Prabhu doing. So we all get different instructions specific to us. Whatever we get, we should accept it gratefully, make that our life and soul, and try to very strictly carry it out. We shouldn't compare ourselves to others, thinking, why to this particular devotee, Guru Maharaj gave that instruction, but for me, he told me to do this. The spiritual master, he understands what's best for us. He has a plan in how we should be engaged in Krishna's service. So whatever instruction comes to us, we just very gratefully take it as the mercy of the Lord, mercy of the Guru, and make that our life and soul. So for Raghunath Das, he was given this instruction to strictly follow the principles renounced our life. So that's why in this chapter we're seeing he's acting so renounced. He's acting so detached. So topics concerning his renunciation are wonderful. Throughout his life, he never allowed his tongue sense gratification. He never touched anything to wear except a small torn cloth and a patchwork wrapper. Thus, he very rigidly executed the order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Whatever he ate was only to keep his body and soul together. And when he ate, he would reproach himself thus. So most days, he would just eat a little bit. Some days he would even forget to eat. And his eating would just be a little bit. The decomposed Mahaprasad Lord Jagannath. But even when he would take that little prasad, he used to chastise himself. Oh, how fallen I am. I have to eat this for the sense gratification of my tongue. Shame on me. Like this, he used to reproach himself. This is how, his level of conscience, how humble he was. Same thing, Prabhupada's servants used to say about Srila Prabhupada. I was hearing one memory by Tamal Krishna Maharaj. He was saying that Prabhupada, he would just sleep for 2 hours at night. He would go to bed at 11 o'clock, wake up at 1 o'clock in the morning, and straight after waking up, Prabhupada used to chant some rounds. Then after chanting some rounds, Prabhupada would translate Bhagavatam for a few hours, 2-3 hours. Then after translating for 2-3 hours, then again Prabhupada will chant more rounds. Then Prabhupada used to go for morning walk, and then Prabhupada will come just on time for Darshanati at 7:15. Then straight after Darshanati, Prabhupada would give Bhagavatam class. So this was Prabhupada's daily schedule. Just 2 hours he would sleep at night. And sometimes, after lunch, Prabhupada used to take an afternoon nap for half an hour or an hour. So Prabhupada's servants, they explained that when Prabhupada used to take his afternoon nap on some days, after lunch, as Prabhupada would go to bed, he used to curse himself that I hate sleeping. Sleeping is Maya. I hate to sleep, but what to do? I have to maintain this body. Like this, Prabhupada used to, in a similar mood, curse himself. Sleeping is ignorance, sleeping is Maya. I don't want to sleep, but I'm forced to sleep. Although he's only sleeping 2 hours a day, still Prabhupada is condemning himself. He's still not satisfied. Why I should waste 2 hours sleeping? This is all Maya. This is all ignorance. So in the same mood, Raghunath Das, we're seeing he's doing like this. Although he barely ate anything, still, the very few times he used to eat a little prasad, he used to curse himself. I just see how fallen I am. I have to gratify my tongue with this food. Like this, he used to reproach himself. Whatever he ate was only to keep his body and soul together. And when he ate, he would reproach himself thus. If one's heart has been cleansed by perfect knowledge, and one has understood Krishna, the Supreme Brahman, he then gains everything. Why should such a person act like a debauchee by trying to maintain his material body very carefully? Lord Jagannath's prasadam is sold by shopkeepers, and that which is not sold decomposes after 2 or 3 days. So we talked about this before. Now, at the end of this chapter, Krishnaraj Kaviraj Goswami is explaining this. All the decomposed food is thrown before the cows from Tailanga at the Srimadwara gate. Because of its rotten odor, even the cows cannot eat it. At night, Raghunath Das would collect that decomposed rice and bring it home and wash it with ample water. Then he ate the hard inner portion of the rice with salt. So as we discussed before, the decomposed Mahaprasad, which the shopkeepers used to throw to the animals, Raghunath Das, he used to pick that up, wash it with water, remove the outer portion which has become rotten, and just take the hard inner portion with a little salt. And that was the prasad he used to take every day. One day Swarup Damodar saw the activities of Raghunath Das. Thus he smiled and asked for a small portion of that food and ate it. Swarup Damodar said, "You eat such nectar every day, but you never offer it to us. What is your character?" So one day Swarup Damodar Goswami, his mentor, comes and sees Raghunath Das eating this. And Swarup Damodar, he teases Raghunath Das, you're eating such wonderful nectar every day. Why aren't you sharing with us? Why are you secretly eating like this? Please also give me some. Then Swarup Damodar, he takes some of this rice and then he also eats himself. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard news of this from the mouth of Govinda, he went there the next day and spoke as follows. Now Mahaprabhu hears about this, what Raghunath Das is going. Now Mahaprabhu, he himself personally comes to Raghunath Das Goswami. "What nice things are you eating? Why don't you give anything to me?" Saying this, he forcibly took a morsel and began to eat. It's like similar to Krishna Lila, when Sudama Brahmana, he comes with just some little hard chipped rice, which his wife has given him to Dwarka, and he's feeling very embarrassed to give this rice to Krishna. And Krishna, he forcibly takes this chipped rice from Sudama and forcibly eats it. And teases Sudama, you have such nice nectar you brought, but you're not giving me, you're hiding it. Please give me this nectar. So in the same way, Mahaprabhu, he forcibly takes this rice from Raghunath Das and begins to eat it. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was taking another morsel of food, Swarup Damodar caught him by the hand and said, "It is not fit for you." Thus he forcibly took the food away. So just like in Krishna Lila, Krishna, he first takes one mouthful of the rice given by Sudama, then as he's going for a second mouthful, Lakshmi Devi immediately, or Rukmani Devi, she immediately catches Krishna's hand and says, no, this is enough. One mouthful is enough. So in the same way, Swarup Damodar, he sees Mahaprabhu eating this decomposed Mahaprasad. Then as Mahaprabhu is going for a second mouthful, again Swarup Damodar, he immediately stops Mahaprabhu. And so says, no, this is enough, don't eat anymore. Because, he is the Supreme Lord, why he should eat like this. And then he forcibly takes away the food away. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "Of course, every day I eat varieties of prasad, but I have never tasted such nice prasadam as that which Raghunath is eating." Thus Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu performed many pastimes at Jagannath Puri. Seeing the severe penances performed by Raghunath Das in the renounced order, the Lord was greatly satisfied. In his poem known as Gauranga Stava Kalpa Vriksha, Raghunath Das has described his personal deliverance. "Although I am a fallen soul, the lowest of men, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu delivered me from the blazing forest fire of great material opulence by his mercy. He handed me over in great pleasure to Swarup Damodar, his personal associate. The Lord also gave me the garland of small conch shells that he wore on his chest, and a stone from Govardhan Hill, although they were very dear to him. That same Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu awakens within my heart and makes me mad after him. Thus I have described the meeting of Raghunath Das with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Anyone who hears about this incident attains the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu." So now we have just completed the chapter of Raghunath Das Goswami meeting Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, praying at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa and Raghunath, always desiring their mercy. I, Krishnadas, narrate Sri Caitanya Caritamrta, following in their footsteps. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purpose to Sri Caitanya Caritamrta, Antya Lila, 6th chapter, describing Lord Chaitanya's meeting with Raghunath Das Goswami. So this is one of the most longest chapters in CC. There's 329 verses in this chapter. So one of the biggest chapters, if not the biggest chapter in CC. But so many amazing instructions are there in this chapter. So many nice pastimes and also instructive lessons that we can learn from this. Okay, well this will stop here. Sri Caitanya Caritamrta ki jai, Jaguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Jai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.